First of all, so excited to be here with you. I am Alechia Reese, co-host of the Triggered AF podcast. And the first time that we had you on here was wild, wasn't it?
It was amazing, yeah. I'm Dani Foster from Triggered AF, the podcast. And our first conversation with you, we were like, oh, we got to do this again.
Yes.
Like, this is just,
look at God.
We are here celebrating you, and this is just gonna be such a dope conversation because your mind, the way you do things, your approach to things, it needs to be shared with the world. Yes. So we're just happy that we're here with you to go ahead and drop some gems on y'all for her birthday. She's giving it y'all on her birthday.
Yes.
See, in true Melissa fashion.
Yes.
I love it. So we first want to get started because here's the thing, I like money and money likes me.
Period.
And I just feel in my spirit. Listen,
hallelujah.
Thank you. Glory be. So here's the thing too though. So every year, like we're blessed with another opportunity to expand not only our impact, our legacy, our money, but what are some of the like most impactful actions that you're taking now, like with your finances to make sure that that legacy lives way beyond you?
Well, I think for me, after I did my taxes this year, I saw that I need to invest a little bit more. Wow. But for me, because HBCUs, young entrepreneurs, young artists, young women are my passion, I'm finding more creative ways to invest in them, right? And so I talked about the Clark Atlanta opportunity, and what happens is when you put things into the universe, they'll literally find you. And when I was little, my mom said, watch your words, your tongue, your power, life and death is in your tongue. But I literally told one of my good friends that I wanted to go to Ghana. And I just said that blindly, never thinking I would have to get a visa overnight and within 2 days after that. But I bring that story up because it's relevant, but also because when you have a heart for other people, opportunities will come. Yeah. And so even today's party, I was going back and forth, should I do a party? Should I do this? How should I make it? I said, if I have a party, it has to be a way to celebrate and educate others. And so I'm grateful that the gathering spot hosted me. I purposely chose 95% Black vendors, making sure that we put back into the community that did so much for us, and just being open and honest about what we wanted. And so it was very important to me that we had this moment in this kind of place in the middle of Atlanta, and just having the opportunity to just pour into others. And so in addition to that, my good friends over at Stash have approached me with an opportunity to not only to speak about it publicly, but say, hey, we want you to invest in your future. How can we help you do that? And so I'm beginning to use, I have not used the app yet. That is I'm literally gonna download it on May 11th. So I can mark from 11 to every 11, I would check my account to see how much money I made. And so every number is intentional. Even when I walked in, I wanted to walk in on 11/11 because when you notice that time is moving really fast.
Oh, yeah.
But when you look at the clock and say, every day I'm gonna take 1 second to thank God, that time begins to slow down. So that's how I slow down time. Because 40 came real fast. Real fast. But that is how I decided to slow down time. And having these kind of global opportunities, I can tell my story and share with my friends.
That's amazing. And when it comes to money and finances, not knowing a lot of times can be very, very, very scary.
Girl.
Especially for entrepreneurs,
Yes.
Okay? Because we are finding that blueprint. We don't really have the examples a lot of times. So what tools are you using to continue to build your wealth right now?
So I think, like when I did my taxes, I think for me, we have to, no matter how much money you make, you have to give something back. It's bigger than a write-off. For me, it is about legacy. And so, I get teary-eyed thinking about my dad because we weren't billionaires when he passed away, but his intellectual property he left behind allows me to be on this stage. When I picked up that brush, 2014, I did not know what God was gonna do for me, right? And so I always say I traded my pulpit for a brush, but look where I'm at, back on the stage. And so when I think about how my father and my mother, who's still here, thank God, invested in me, that's something money can't buy. But people say money isn't everything, but money is a lot of things.
Listen, so money worketh all things.
Listen, and they can say what they want, but money buy me everything that makes me happy. So I'm gonna have a good relationship with money. And I think in the Black community, we don't talk enough about money. Right. We don't want to talk about our wills, we don't want to talk about our health, we don't want to talk about our money. And so having these kind of open forums and say, girl, how much you get paid? Well, this how much are you investing? What are you doing? What are you contributing to the community? And so for me, it's very important that we have these partnerships and get on these platforms and say, let's talk about money. Let's have these open conversations. And even on my birthday, I'm stopping to have a conversation about money because that's how important my 40s and 50s and 60s will be. Because I plan on living beyond my now. And so I like a lot of nice expensive stuff like this party. So you need so I need a lot of money. And so I'm so grateful for opportunities like Stash, and I'm now partnering with other companies. Bring My Game, let me say their name loud also. But companies are looking for people like us that are genuinely and authentically connecting with community. And so that's what I want to use my platform for. Everybody will use it for something else, but I'm using it to make sure I educate and leave a lasting legacy. So if today is our last day, they'll say, well, she left out here with guns blazing. And that's my overall goal.
Yes, and I love that too, because especially in our communities, many times it's, well, you ain't supposed to talk about it. And it's like, no, what does it look like to educate people on how much you should ask for?
Right. And I think with Stash, just being educated about it all, I think investing is intimidating. Because me, I'm like, let them do it. But we have our phones in our hand. Why not invest? And before I knew about the app, I talked to a lot of my friends, say, is this real? Because you get these DMs like, this ain't real. And when you talk to these different companies, they really want to help you, especially as entrepreneurs. As we're here working and doing things, we can just invest $2 or $3, and you can do a monthly thing. And then, and even in my bio, I have a custom app, and you actually get a bonus. So they're giving money away, but why are you not actually going to get it?
Yeah, and I actually use Stash. So every single month, because I am an entrepreneur, been that way for the last 10 years at this point. And every single month, I don't care what comes and what goes, you have to pay me first. And paying me first means investing in taking, and it's, I think at this point, it's only like $250 every 2 weeks. But that adds up. 500 times 12, like that adds up.
Absolutely.
So first of all, you truly are, you coined the term master manifestor.
Period.
You coined the term and I love it. You completely, I know you talked about slowing down time, but what you have truly done is honestly collapsed it. Because you're saying from 2014 is when you picked it up, but you just left in 2021. And the things that you've done from 2021 to now, just a little zhuzh. Just a little bit. But what you've done is what I believe in, what I call, and I got this from Danielle Leslie, is you collapsed time. Because what would have, or maybe should have taken 5 to 7 years, 10 years, you've done it in a year with partnerships with Coach, Spanx, Foot Locker. The list goes on. Listen, a whole billboard.
I think for me, once I took the leap of faith to leave my job, it wasn't really about money anymore. It was about my faith. And as much as I sit on these stages and try to tell people, girl, trust God, this, I'm at home secretly crying, right? I struggle with being a perfectionist, but also wanting to see my dreams come true. And when they don't happen, I feel discouraged, right? Because it's obvious I'm not married, I don't have kids, and that was haunting me for a long time. But God was saying, what you don't have here, I can multiply in another area. So if you focus on what I've given you, let me finish working on that. And so I had to completely stop focusing on what wasn't there. That's like, I have 95 people invited, but 5 haven't showed up. So am I gonna focus on the 5 that have not shown up?
Or the 90?
Or hug on the 95 people here, so that's with my life. And so once I abandoned all those shoulda, coulda, Lord, why not? God said, now watch what I do for you. So I went from February 11th, of course, quitting my job, to taking a faith trip to Phoenix, Arizona, putting my dreams up in the air, and then I got back within 3 weeks. I ran into my friend with Atlanta Influences Everything, who gave me one phone call to Foot Locker and changed my life forever. One phone call changed my life forever. And so what God is showing me is that everything I thought I missed for 37, 38 years can be changed with one phone call.
Collapsing time.
And so that is what's so amazing about the God we serve, is that everybody has their own timeline, right? And so I was so worried about your timeline, and looking at my own timeline. And literally, we look at timelines all day on social media. Stop looking at timelines, whether it's on social or whether it's your life. And so once I froze time and said, well, Lord, I know I'm about to be 40, and I'm thinking about my babies and all that. I said, well, let me at least be something my future children will be proud of. So I can look back and say, look what I did before you got here. And so now, God willing, when they come, my twins, when they come, I'll be able to say that before you got here, I laid a path for you to walk in.
Yeah.
So I even talked about my mentee earlier. She's 20 years old. She went to HBCU. She played AKA. She bought her own home, all by 22. I said, well, child, it took me 30-some years to get a house. And I was talking to my friend. I said, well, I collapsed time for her. I sped her timeline. So when you connect with mentors like Yolanda and my mother, their wisdom shortens the time frame that it takes for us to manifest.
That part.
She can give me four or five tips to change my whole life. So what took her 20 years could take me 2 years, and then now I'm on the stage.
That part. You just gave us shit.
So I am so blessed to be able to. Every person in this room is one of my friends that I also have given money to. I had business with. Or they bought from me. My first sale was from a Fan Ewan, and my very last sale this morning was from a Fan Ewan. So my net worth is all because of the relationships and being a good person. And I didn't make 6 figures the way I did until last year, until I abandoned what money was. So my relationship with money changed, and then I became a magnet for it.
First of all, I'm gonna need you to repeat that again. I almost screamed. It's recorded, but what you said is
when I changed my relationship with money, I became a magnet for it.
Listen, tweet that, take notes.
I don't worry about money. I mean, of course I worry about money, but I don't worry about it like I used to.
Yeah.
So when you spend $5,000 to $10,000, back in the day, I would have been like, child, let me go on and write my obituary. It's gonna kill me here. But now I'm so excited about spending money because it's coming back. I mean, literally, I had 3 dresses for this event. This is the 3rd one, and it showed up right before I got here. So it's like the things I worried about, they all work themselves out every single time. Like even when it came to my health issues, relationship issues, everything worked itself out. And so even today I was stressed about this. I was like, well, it's 2 of y'all coming, we got 2 chairs. I said, child, just figure it out the chair. So now we got 1 big pink chair and 2 small black ones.
Listen,
it all worked itself out. It worked it out.
It's remembering that what you focus on magnifies, and what you focus on, you'll find more of. If you're driving, looking for all the white cars, you are going to find a plethora, a whole bunch of white cars. So if you focus on the dream, what you're envisioning, it literally materializes. So now you didn't talk us through a little bit, but I want you to walk us through that highlight reel, just a little zhuzh, just a little bit. What's that highlight reel looking like?
If I had to talk about my highest moments, it really began when I picked up a brush at my mama's house. Living at home, it was in a dark space because I'm at home, I'm 20, 30 years old. Why are you still living at home? Everybody thinks you're great, but you're in this like cave, right? And God says, I'm protecting you. But when you emerge out of this, you're gonna be eons above whatever you did. And so people are like, when are you gonna quit your job? And I said, God gave me this job. I prayed for this job at one point. It's an investor, but also it was an answered prayer. A lot of times we pray ourselves out of answered prayers. And I said, this was a prayer too. So let me stop praying. It's like when you finally get married, now it's not enough excitement. But y'all, you got a man in Atlanta. That's already a miracle. So keep your miracles at bay. Keep your answered prayers at bay. And so when I began to change my ideology around being at home, I'm living at home, instead of saying my mom has a home that I can live in.
All about perspective.
Now I have a home that I can live in, instead of saying why I gotta be at home. Thank God my daddy left the house big enough that we have 11 bedrooms that all of us can live in comfortably, that we're not on top of each other. So when I changed that mindset, stop being ashamed of living at home, God said, now I can use you. 2014, walk past the paintbrushes, pick it up blindly, start going on social media. I started telling my friends about it. I started getting so much money that I could pay my mama's mortgage and buy my own house with painting. Then I said, well, my hair look a mess. I need to try to cover it up. Why don't I make head wraps? Start making head wraps. I said, well, I want Lupita with my hair wrap. People say, you skipping all the steps. I said, I'm going to the top. I DM her stylist. He DMs me back. Lupita ends up in Vogue magazine. So not only is it the top publication, it's the top actress, and it's the top opportunity. So I believe that was my faith launching pad. And after that, I said, I could do anything. Lupita in London wearing my stuff. And so once I took that seed, that began to be like my bamboo. And that's one of my favorite plants that also, it doesn't have a flower, but the way that it grows is that you continue to water it for years and never see anything. So my bamboo didn't really show up until 2018, 19, 20, and 21. And so now that I'm in my bamboo, which is why I chose the color green for the party, intentionality, is because it means growth, it means prosperity, it means abundance, but it also means just growing from where you once were. And so once the Lupita happened, that's when Spanx opened up. That's when I won a Ford. That's when I got a deal with Cadillac. That's when Coach came. That's when, oh goodness. The list goes on. And I share that because don't limit what God can do. But I wish I had my brush. God gave me one raggedy brush from Michael's that was $2, and I built $1 million empire. I can say that out loud. Wow. I did my taxes. I was like, who paperwork is this? She said, I said, this is my paperwork? Because when you're in the middle of your answered prayer, you don't do the numbers. You just in it. And so when I look back on what I did, I said, I did this on a little bit of faith. I said, I got a lot of faith in 2022. And so turning 40 on the 11th of the year 22, which is 11 twice, and God gave me, when I was in the middle of praying, God said, Jeremiah 29:11. Then I said, oh my God, 29 plus 11 equals 40. And that's why this theme is 29, because God knows the plans He has for me. It's to prosper you. He said that first. So it's gonna be my rich year. It's my rich year. And so I had already told my mentor, I said, this is my $1 million year. I don't know how it's gonna happen. We in May and it ain't showed up yet, but we got a couple of more months to make it happen. But I'm so bold with my prayers openly that people hold me accountable for it. So I said, this is my, so you got mail, you $1 million, it's coming, sis, it's coming. So it keeps me cognizant of what I want to do. And so even this party was a manifestation. I said, I want it to be sponsored. I said, I don't know how they want to sponsor a birthday party. I said, but why don't I have a conversation in the middle of my party and make it substance, have some substance. And so when people walk away, not only you having a good time with your full belly, you also have a full spirit and a full mind of ideas to do something different. So I'm just grateful.
Yes, you mentioned on our podcast that this was your $1 million year. So we holding you accountable too.
We almost in May. We'll see, child. We'll see. No, I know. We gonna see. I said see. We gonna see it.
And a lot of times it's so easy to focus on our highlight reels, on our successes and on the triumphs. And it's more difficult to share some of those challenges.
Right.
And some of those lower moments, like the moment you spoke about, where sometimes you're home and you're crying when everything seems amazing. And that vulnerability a lot of times is missing so much in our community.
Yeah.
What are some of the ways that you overcome those challenges to keep pushing and to keep being bold enough to ask to do some of the things that you've done?
So 2019, I had a debilitating, almost life-threatening moment, right? Literally near death. Like, I was down 110 pounds, like tiny. Nobody really knew what was going on. Got rushed to the hospital. I was there for 2.5 weeks in the hospital. Nobody knew because I was still painting on my laptop in the hospital, but that's another story. And so I mentioned that because we have to wave the white flag as people. We can't allow ourselves to be backed in the corner being superwoman, and we're literally killing ourselves. And so I saw in that moment that I saw people love me more than I understood. And I also saw that how important my family was. And the intuition of a mother, I get emotional because had she not have come to the house that day, I probably would have not made it. And so you have to have a relationship with your people in your circle that have intuition about you. Because they say, you just get on my spirit. And when that person calls you and say you've been on their spirit, call them. You don't know what you might be interrupting. You might be interrupting somebody's suicide. You might be interrupting somebody literally dying. But you have to have people in your circle that you trust spiritually. All this cute internet stuff goes away when you're in a hospital and the doctors can't figure out what's wrong with you, which is what happened to me. So my family got together, my friends got my whole house cleaned, my family flew in town, and I still made it to the Oscars to give out head wraps to 400 celebrities because my family held me down while I was in the hospital. And so from that moment on, that was really my birthday. That was like, okay, I maybe turned 40, but I'm really 3 in the spirit because that was my rebirth. And so this is my 3rd year of that diagnosis and that situation. But from that moment, I saw life is too precious. And God can press fast forward real quick on your moments, and this could easily have been my funeral. And so I took this moment because my dad's last greatest birthday party was his last birthday party. And so every birthday that I celebrate my friends, I go all out. And so we 31, 32, we don't wait till 40. We going out of town every year. And my good Tauruses, we go out of town every year. Y'all, where y'all going this year, girl? We gonna look up one of these flights. We gonna look up a flight, and I don't sit still on my birthday because I said I could move and I got money to go somewhere, and so I do. And so that's why I am a birthday girl. I am. It's your birthday, what we doing? We ain't gotta be friends. I remember birthdays like it's literally my information for a sorority. I remember birthdays, like you're the 11th, right? You're 12. I'll spit your information out because I know that could easily be the dash on your tomb. So you gotta remember these birthdays and these moments for these people. And so I wanted my birthday to be something that y'all would walk on like, girl, we had a birthday party. Child, I need to go read my Bible. I need to go invest my money. I need to download Stash. And so going back to the word Stash, I like their approach as a business because I don't take every opportunity. I get DMs all day for collaborations. But what I liked about Stash is that it's not intimidating.
Yes.
And it's something I can do with my eyes closed. I don't have to be an expert. I don't have to know it by heart. And they allowed me to be a spokesperson. $1 billion company with a blue check. I was like, it's real. And so, but God is showing me that they wanted you. They wanted you. They trust you. They trust your platform. They trust your people. And so I'm just grateful that I can hold this mic, that I can look in the audience and see my friends from childhood all the way up until the other day. Literally. And my sister said, you always got some new friends. I said, because every person I touch is going to touch somebody else. So I'm a ripple person. I want the ripples. I want the saucer blessing to touch other people. And so even this morning, my makeup artist was pouring into me. And that is what 2018, 19, 20, and 21 is, allow people to pour into you. Because as leaders, we think, oh, we got all the answers. We the one. You gotta let people pour into you. Because I got really empty, like to the point where my stomach was empty. And God said, I'm gonna put you on pause so people can pour into you. And so that is what this season is going to be about, the reciprocity, but allow myself to be a blessing to others with no point of return. And you might just end up with a full plate to Ghana.
Listen,
by being a blessing to other people.
That part. We are about to close this down, so I want you to celebrate, okay? But I have one last question.
Okay.
What you did is you looked at what was in your bag, and you didn't require perfection in order to start with that little $2 brush.
No, ma'am.
That means you literally, master manifester, you are a creator in every sense of the word.
Yes.
So since we creating up in her, all this good energy,
okay,
what does the next 40 years look like?
Girl, I mean, I don't know what next week gonna look like, but I think for me, it's gonna be intentionality, it's going to be riches, it's gonna be great wealth, but it's also going to be leaving breadcrumbs all along the way. I think a lot of times leaders get up here, but it's like, well, how should you do that? And I don't have a manual. But I'm going to point everybody, the breadcrumbs are going to lead back to God. Because that is the ultimate, like, I say God is my publicist, God is my CEO, God is He is my co-manifester. Anything I put into the atmosphere, I trust that God hears it and that God will act upon it. And so that's my greatest accomplishment, is that I'll be able to take stage and say God publicly and not feel a way about it. That everywhere I go, I will take God with me. And that praise and worship will always be on my tongue. And that my life is a living testimony of what God can and will do. And that is what my goal is. And I got to read this statement from Stash real quick to make sure. This is from Stash. It says, investment advisory services offered by Stash Investments, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, and investments may lose value. And so in layman terms is, do it at your own risk.
But do something. Not doing anything out of fear, it means that you now stay in place.
Absolutely.
Get uncomfortable, be willing to learn, because there's growth in your discomfort.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna close. My dad used to do this too. He would say we close 3 times. But no, I think the most culminating thing with this is don't live in fear, live in faith. The money will come, the love will come, the opportunities will come, but life is not promised. And so use your time wisely, love on your people, take that flight, buy the shoes, buy the dress, buy 3 dresses, buy all the shoes, buy all the purses, but just enjoy your life. And don't let people make you feel away looking at timelines. Okay, and so I think that's it, because I need my water and I want to have a good time.
Thank you so much. Happy birthday and many, 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 many more. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Triggered AF. Remember, don't be consumed by your triggers. Confront it and then work to release it. Whether you leave us more triggered than you came, or you're feeling like you've been open to a new perspective, our hope is that you've grown. Make sure to share this episode with a friend who's trigger happy and tag us while you're listening. We can't wait to hear from you. Until next week, pull it together, girl.